Okay, today I'd like to discuss the format that we use here at Leaders for Life to do private lessons. When we're doing a private lesson, we're not so much, I don't want us to think so much as an instructor, more so as a personal trainer or a life coach. So the first step that we do when we're getting ready to do a private lesson is we ask the parents and the student what they want to cover. What do they want to accomplish out of the private lesson? So that's the number one thing. The second thing that we want to come to the conclusion of is we want to be able to tell them and articulate to the parent and the child what they're going to accomplish during that private lesson. They tell us what topic they want to cover. We're going to tell them what we're going to accomplish in that private lesson, and then we set them up for success that way. The next step that we want to do is the format that we do in our private lessons. They're 30-minute private lessons. So we're going to spend the first 5 minutes doing maybe basics and kicks and that kind of thing so that we can warm them up and get them doing some of the basic. If they want to do their form, we'll figure out what part of the form they want to work on, and we'll do some of the basics and kicks out of that part of their form. And then we spend the next 10 minutes reviewing that material, reviewing their form or their one step. And we focus a lot on memorization, using some of those methods like naming drill or visualization. And we implement the different methods of memorizing so that they can memorize the material quicker. So let's say they want to learn the first 9 moves of the white belt form. Well, we'll take the basics and kicks out of that. So we'll work on a high block or a low block or an inner form block or a side kick. And that's the first 5 minutes. The next 10 minutes is actually working on the form itself, those 9 moves in the sequential order of the form. The third section, the next 10 minutes, are where we nitpick, if you will. Maybe getting them competition ready, maybe getting them ready for testing. That's where we fine-tune their technique. We utilize some of the instructor charts we had when we came through, things like focusing on starting position or the direction or the rotation or the trajectory or the base. So that middle section of the 10 minutes is where we're nitpicking and perfecting their material. And then we spend the last 5 minutes giving homework to the child that they can do different drills, different ways to practice what we covered at home. We talk with the parents. We get an action plan developed for the child with the parents. So like we try to tell them, okay, if you're going to work on your form, work on your best segment and apply this principle. And then work on your worst segment and apply the same principle. Then work on your next best segment and apply that same principle. So what we're really trying to do is praise, correct, praise, but in the training. So we're training our students the way that we, through the praise, correct, praise method. Another thing when we do private lessons is when we give the homework to the parent and the child, we have to come up with some sort of a creative drill that forces them to do or improve on what they're not or what they're struggling with. So if they're struggling with not rechambering their kick, well, we're going to give them a drill that's going to force them to rechamber. So instead of them chambering their leg and then holding the target out here where they kick, we're going to hold the target back here so that after they kick, it forces them to come back and rechamber. So the creative drills that we come up with have to be a way to physically force them to do what they're leaving out or do what they need to improve on, and they got to be able to do it at home as well. Also, during that last 5 minutes, we try to give the parents a coaching tip. Maybe we teach the parents how to use praise, correct, praise. Maybe we teach the parents how to celebrate their child. Maybe we teach the parents how to not be super critical, but to be motivating and encouraging. So during that last 5 minutes, not only are we giving them a creative drill that you can practice at home, but we're also giving the parent a coaching tip, and maybe we even give them, during that homework assignment, a sheet that the parent has to sign off on and bring back into the next time they come to class. Something else that's really important with private lessons, we have to prove the accomplishment. So we have to, after we've worked with the child, we have that child come over and we have the child demonstrate for their parent what we were working on. And then we get the parent and the child to confirm that their goal for that private lesson was accomplished. If they wanted their child to be more powerful, we're going to work with the child on power, how to generate power. They're going to come back and they're going to show and demonstrate power for the parent. And then we're going to get the parent and the kid to acknowledge that they feel more powerful. So you have to prove the result. The other thing that we try to do with private lessons is that we really want to praise it. So we want to come over immediately after we finish the private lesson. We want to come over to the parent and we want to tell the parent and the student 3 or 4 things that we were really impressed with during their private lesson. Things that they improved on, things that impressed us, things that really made us happy, because we want them to have fun. We want them to learn, but we also want them to sweat during their private lesson. Okay? What's vital on the praise it part is after the private lesson, before you go home that evening, we need to make a phone call to that family and say, hey, you did a great job in your private lesson today, Johnny. I'm so proud of the improvements you made. Mom and Dad, I'm just so glad that you took that extra time to pour into Johnny, and it's been our privilege, our honor. So you want to give them a call that night as well. And then this is the part that makes a private lesson the most successful. It's when we check the progress. We follow up for accountability. We hold the parent and the child accountable. So if we gave the child homework that they need to practice this drill 10 times a day until they come back to class, if they come back to class 3 days later, we need to make sure we have a communication with that parent and child, and we ask the child, how did your practice go this week? Did you do those 30 repetitions at 10 a day? And if not, we ask the parent, did you help remind Johnny to work on this drill 10 times a day? If they're like yes, then we praise them, we congratulate them. And if they're no, then we try to help hold them accountable to doing that, because we don't want our time to be wasted and we want the child to get better, whether it be on the technique and also on the discipline, which is the life skill. So everything that we do, the coaching tip, everything, we got to hold the parents and the child accountable to that. And the other thing that we have to remember with every private lesson is, at Leaders for Life, if one of our adult staff members are doing a private lesson with a child, there has to be another adult staff member present. And that doesn't matter whether it's a male or female student that the staff member's doing the private lesson with. There always has to be 2 adult staff members whenever there's a private lesson going on with the student. So it's that 3-person rule. I'm trying to think. So yeah, always 2 adult staff with the child to save any hassle or accusations in the future.